welcome to Chatz, a television podcast, season 17, Chatz OA. The show where two best friends are watching through the Netflix original series, The OA, for the very first time. My name is Allen, and I'm joined by the person in the hotel dining room who overheard Nancy and Abel's fight, and all she was trying to do was get some coffee and waffles. It's Magellan.
Did you hear that couple over there? I think they're fighting. But
What?
it might just be about the waffles. The hand that I've used to put food in my mouth is now the hand that I'm knifing with. So whoever that was eating food off their knife.
They seem like that type of
my
person.
Object work, yeah.
Stellar stuff, my friend. Stellar stuff. How are you? What's going on? What's the coolest thing that you ate in the last week?
Oh, I'm okay. I've been sick. I've been so sick. So honestly, the coolest thing that I ate was freaking Sudafed. Get my mucus out.
That's good that you actually get Sudafed. I always, like, by the time I realize that I don't want NyQuil, I want real Sudafed. It's always too late. I'm always already better.
Yeah, it's I can't take credit for it. It's Amanda's the one who knows that medicine helps when you're sick and has it.
What a concept.
And then what I sort of bring to the table is whenever she says Sudafed, I say Subaded.
Subaded.
Because it's funny to me.
Oh my god, listener, I've been muted on the video version for the last minute. Hi, I'm Alan. Magellan was audible though, which is pretty great. Okay, it's fine. We're gonna start over. Oh, welcome. I'll use the audio from the audio version in the video version. I got work to do. It's great.
Oh, that's fancy. That's fancy.
The beautiful thing about the way we record chats now is every single part of it is redundant. If any of it explodes, and it often does, then I can fix any part of it. Except if we don't turn the cameras on. But that's the least important part to us. Like,
yeah.
If the cameras are off, I have the audio. I put the thumbnail up. We've done that for many episodes.
It's like a real production. I love it.
It only took 11 years to figure out how to make it a production.
You're almost as good of an editor as the girl in the alternative school class who edited to say,
"Fuck me in the ass." Fuck me in the ass. In the ass.
Thank you. Good job.
Magellan, can I do a quick show and tell segment for you in the video version?
Yeah, please.
So I spent some time. I spent last weekend in Miami. I had a great time with Kelly, girlfriend of the podcast. Came back to freezing cold and an international incident, which is really sick. Just like learn that the world is falling apart while you're literally in the air above it.
Yep. Oh, that's scary.
Miami was great. And when I got back, I realized that at one point I spent adult money on an adult object. Oh my god, this is so fucking heavy, guys. Ugh. Happy Pokemon Day, friends.
Oh my god. Wow, it's a big Lego Pikachu.
It is.
That is beautiful.
In honor of the 30th anniversary of Pokemon, we are doing some... We did not plan to do the Creature Quorum covering Kanto Tourism Committee on the 30th anniversary, but it's worked out that way. And because of that, Pokemon put out two Lego sets, one of a big Eevee and one of a Pikachu and Pokeball.
Wow.
Of course, the Pikachu and Pokeball is much more expensive, and of course, I bought it off their website.
Yeah.
It was because they do drops. I always like to catch the Pokemon Center drops. I'm a sucker for spending money.
Wow, that's quite a piece.
Pikachu. Yeah. So coming back from a trip, it's just like wave of emotions, right? Like, oh my god, I love the good job. Love my life. I'm having such a good time. I love my girlfriend. I love travel. Oh my god, the world is horrible. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to curl up and die. Oh, Pikachu.
Brings you a little bit back up on the baseline.
Just enough to live. But I'm building, I also got for Christmas a Lego R2-D2, which I started last night. And the first thing that you build when you make this Lego R2-D2, it's like 1,050 pieces. It's like fairly big. It's the first thing you build with it, following the steps, is a small R2-D2 that fits in the palm of your hand. And I was like, this feels sinful. I'm now gonna build your dad. I've built the son first.
We at my work, I'm on a team of like 3 in my department, and we're sort of like the social studies team at the place I work at. And we learned that the IT team over on the other side of the office had like a team Lego set that they built together, or like multiple even.
Ooh.
So my supervisor was like, "What the hell? We got to get one of those." So we got the Lego pyramid, like the Great Pyramids of Giza, and we've been building that, just like chipping away at it.
This looks cool with the water and the boats.
Mm-hmm. And it's got me thinking a lot about like the psychology of how they pace out the different parts of the build, and like, because my suspicion is you building a small R2D2, it's like purely like a motivation thing. Like, we're gonna make you build this small guy so you can feel like you've accomplished something, and you sort of know a little taste of what it's gonna feel like.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. And so like the pyramid one, you like build all the foundation first, and it's got all these different color pieces, but you're never going to see them because they're going to get covered by the rest of it. But it's like, oh, this looks nice. And then you like build the river, and then you build like the little buildings in front, and then you put all the trees, and you're like, we haven't even started making the pyramid yet. But I think they pace it out like that on purpose to make you feel encouraged.
You're absolutely right, and that's something I'd like to learn more about from Lego creators than like how the bricks are made, because I understand that's like its own cool, unique process, and but like the pacing out the build. So like, even when you start building the R2D2, you build the tiny one first, which is like 2 legs, a head, and a body. That's it. It's like it's a minifig, I think is what those are called. Then what you build is the skeleton, and like I finished the first bag last night. There's like 12 bags of this thing. You can already tell that it's R2D2 shaped from the skeleton. It reminds me of like when I used to do Gunpla more frequently, and it's like, oh, you build the inside of it first. You make the chest first, then you build the legs, then you build the arms. But for the R2D2, I've like built the exoskeleton of R2D2, and now I build around it, which is fun.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, if anybody knows how to learn about that, or where I could learn about secret sauce of Lego build pacing, I'd love to learn.
Yeah, I want to get my hand on their freaking style guide. Like, just get into their Google Drive and see like, how do you decide like when to put the arrows in to show me I put something somewhere? When do you decide to like go top down?
How are your instructions always so good? John wants to eat the Lego. You're like Hap trying to learn the movements.
I am. I'm like Hap trying to learn the movements.
If you can't already tell, if you can't tell, this is I almost said this is a Pokemon podcast. Holy shit, wrong show.
Hey, sure, let's pivot.
Okay, so how's Fire Red Leaf Green going? Have you started it yet? What's your starter?
I have not. Well, I turned it on to see what it looked like, and it looks good. Looks like the game. That's about it. I have not started the game.
The best feature of Fire Red and Leaf Green is when you hit continue, and it gives you like a little anime recap of what you did last time.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, I haven't started yet because I'm not quite ready to pick my gender and my name.
Aww.
No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. Okay. We're gonna play a girl this time. No problem.
That's right. Gosh darn right.
Don't worry about it one bit.
We talked about this on the KTC, but in the original game, the way they frame it, actually the way they frame it in Fire Red Leaf Green, Six told me this, is they frame it like it's difficulty levels. Like
the starters.
Picking your starters, like picking a difficulty level.
Your episode. I thought that was very insightful.
Yeah, I had never thought about it like that. I've just always thought of like, because they just announced Gen 10 starters. Well, you did it. You tricked me. This is not a Pokemon podcast. No, OA podcast.
You're off topic.
It's the OA. We finished season 1, part 1 of the OA, y'all. We did it.
Wait, BBA, tell us about Dick Van Dyke or whatever the hell.
Hold on, I'm eating a sandwich. I'll tell you about Dick Van Dyke later. Stop touching that man's penis. This will all make sense. I promise. I promise it'll all make sense in like an hour, guys. I promise. Just lock in and let us explain to you what happened in these episodes. First up, we're talking the OA Season 1, Episode 7, Empire of Light. And after the break, we're going to talk about the Season 1 finale, Episode 8, Invisible Self. These episodes were written by Britt Marling and Zal Batmanglish. They were directed by Zal Batmanglish, and they both aired with the rest of season 1 on December 16th, 2016 on Netflix. John, starting things off, what happened in Empire of Light?
In this episode, an ominous new dream and a tense outing with Nancy and Abel take a toll on OA. Steve finds his life in turmoil once again. Alan, what do you think of Empire of Light?
Delightfully quotidian, Seymour. Delightfully quotidian. You know, a lot of shows these days, a lot of prestige dramas love to do the penultimate episode where, you know, it's something completely different happens or we follow something else, but it's thematically relevant and you're like, what? What is that? And the OA goes for its own, you know, Brit and Zal version of that, where we never go to the flashback in this episode. We don't go to Hap's compound. We are in the present day. We haven't spent a ton of time. We've talked, you know, on this podcast about how the present day stuff's pretty interesting and they haven't like done a ton of it. And all of it kind of gets pushed forward and sets up basically a bunch of chess pieces for where the finale takes us. I found this episode really engaging. I thought it had some of the series' best speeches and monologues so far. And I was completely buckled in for the finale with this one. What about you?
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Very bold of the show to build us up to this point in episode 6 where it's like, oh my God, Hap's been caught. He's going to get shot. He's in trouble. We got to click the next episode. And then the whole episode is people being like,
let's go to Olive Garden.
Let's go. Like, I just want to connect with you guys. Like, I feel like we've been distant lately.
And that's what it's about. That's what it's thematically
about. That's what it's about. Yeah. No, I love this episode because it's grounding us in, okay, you're being carried along by the intrigue and the lore and, you know, the like kind of psychological thriller aspects of the storytelling, but what's the point of all of it? So let's remind you of the characters and their relationships and what it is that they have at stake before we go and we finish the story. Because as we see in episode 8, there's actually not that much left to say about the past story. There's like a couple big, there's like really one big scene.
Yeah.
But there's not much more that we need. We just now sort of need to answer the question of like, how did OA get here? But to care about that, we have to remind ourselves, like, what does being here mean to her? What does getting back or getting to the other place mean to her? What does it mean to all these people who've been helping her? And I think this episode does a really good job of anchoring us in those things.
Exactly. Anchoring is the word of the day because like a lot of stuff happens in the next one that makes you go, oh, I didn't even realize this was something I cared about. And this episode is mostly spending its time telling you, hey, here's what matters. Here's like what you should care about before we do stuff to all of our characters. Like there's that scene towards the end where Steve stabs the OA in the thigh. We're just jumping around here. And, you know, he's like, how did you ever survive down there? She says, I survived because I wasn't alone. And you're like, that's it. That's like the last line of the episode is like, hey, that's how we live in the present day. And that's how we lived in the past. That's why the story matters. It's because it's about people working together. So I love that.
And also, you know, I won't be too specific I don't know how people listen to the show. I wouldn't do this, but if you listen to you watch episode 7, listen to us talk about episode 7, watch episode 8, listen to us talk about episode 8. I won't be too specific, but part of the way that episode 8 works is you need to be willing to let it be ambiguous whether the story has been true or not.
Precisely.
And it needs to still be meaningful, even if it's like, well, turns out that the other dimension was the friends we made along the way. Like that, I don't think we would be satisfied if that was what the show said, but the show sort of needs us to accept that that's a possibility in order for episode 8 to work the way that it does.
Exactly.
So I think you need episode 7 to get us to care about the friends we made along the way, so that episode 8 can sort of sit in that ambiguity. So it's serving that function as well.
Because the show knows that so far you probably believe her. You want to believe the story, and it just has to throw this one crucial wrench at just the right moment for you to go, wait, what have I been believing this whole time? What story am I listening to?
Right.
I have thoughts on that, and I want to get there. But
yeah,
I think we should get right into our summary for the sake of brevity.
Let's do it.
So the OA's having bad dreams, and Abel gets up in the middle of the night after he hears her screaming. The speed at which Abel pulls out a gun is hilarious.
Yeah.
Come on. Open the episode and this guy has a gun like under his bed. He's got pointed ready to shoot because his daughter yelled a little bit. Is like it kind of nuts. He's that kind of guy though. And we established with this opener that Abel has an attachment to OA that Nancy doesn't really have. That he like cares about her the way that a dad cares about his daughter. And you know, they discuss, this is the part that kind of sets off his arc for these episodes, is OA brings up the note. She says, I left you guys a note. I hoped that was enough for you. And he's like, oh, the note. Right, the note. Yeah, so that kind of sets Abel off. And then we're following the OA in this beautiful downward pan in the FBI building. You also noted this.
My God, that was a cool shot.
Flexing on them. Listener, essentially, we're just seeing another scene of OA talking to her therapist, Rahim. But the camera starts from like the ceiling and then dips down, but like the volume is in full effect.
Looking at this ceiling, I think, because the ceiling is reflective, so it's like pointed at the ceiling.
That's even crazier.
Yeah,
that makes more sense. Also, probably how they filmed it, how they accomplished that shot. They didn't like put a drone down. There's some really interesting therapy work here. I almost was gonna like ask you to like ask Amanda or something what she thought about the therapy work from Rahim here. Like essentially positing that he believes everything the OA is saying, but maybe, just maybe, she's processing trauma in her life by having dreams about it, and by having dreams about it happening again, or reframing it in that. And then his crucial metaphor here is the idea of hugs. And like the reason he says that humans love to be hugged is, quote, it sets a limit on your pain, which I think is fascinating, and I want to unpack a little bit. So lots of hugging in these episodes.
Yeah. And it ends up being important in episode 8, the OA talking about a moment of physical touch that we'll talk about in episode 8.
Yes.
Yeah, I found his approach here fit with his character, which is like, he really Rahim sort of sits back and is very relaxed, doesn't react very strongly to things, isn't ever seeming alarmed, but kind of takes big swings sometimes in a way where you're like, whoa, that was risky. And we talked about this when the OA was like, hey, bringing this toy or this game was kind of risky. Like, what if I thought it was stupid? Because I think it is risky when she's describing, essentially what she's describing is like, I have these dreams that are premonitions, and I need to figure them out, because if I don't figure them out, something bad, like the bad thing from the dream, is going to happen.
Right.
And what he's trying to diffuse is like that anxiety of, you need to figure it out. If you don't, a bad thing's going to happen. And he's offering this alternative interpretation, which is like, maybe it's not a premonition, like it's a guess. Your mind is guessing, which could very easily, if not done well, be completely rejected by the OA and like make her really upset or whatever. But she entertains it here, which is, I don't know, I just love their scenes together. I love like how comfortable she is with him, and how this show is able to portray her as like wise and confident, and also like kind of wrong about her own interior world a little bit, or it's possible that she's wrong. I think they do that really well in this scene here.
Yeah, and anybody could be wrong, right? The reporter could be
Uh-huh.
wrong. Nancy and Abel could be wrong. Raheem
Right.
could be wrong. The important thing is that Raheem's trying to help her here and like actually understand her. And then when we see him up, and I think at the end of this episode, it's like, wait, or in episode 8, whenever he goes into Nancy and Abel's house and sees Steve there, you're like, what is your place?
Or French.
Here?
He sees French there.
Sorry, yes. I was like, I don't think like it's Steve. Yeah, when he sees French, it's like, what is you're doing something, man. You're not just here to be nice. There's something going on. But maybe it is to help her. Maybe it is eventually long term that he's trying to help her. We just don't know yet. Quick funny side piece that doesn't serve much use in the narrative yet, but probably will. By the way, before we leave the scene with Raheem, I love when he brings her back to Nancy and Abel, and not only do we learn that Abel has never walked into the facility with her, he just drops her off and leaves, which is such a dad thing to do. But speaking of like good therapy practice, when Nancy is like, can we talk to you privately about the OA, he's like, I don't think you can. I actually don't think it would be appropriate to talk to about my client to you. I loved that because she's an adult. That's how HIPAA works. She's like, anyways, loved that. I said, ooh, yay, when we went back to the physics lab. I was like, yes, alternative school. Something funny is going to happen here. And I was right. Basically, Steve and the girl who was a troublemaker last time have a bit of a meet cute over an edit that she did of the instructor on the alternative school program where she makes the lady say, fuck me in the butt in like a little, YouTube poop type way. And he kisses her. He goes for the kiss. And I normally would be like, whoa, that's crazy. But considering, number one, everything we know about Steve, and number two, the way he correctly read the room there, I was like, this is actually really funny. Like, she clearly wanted to. This was actually her flirting, and he read it correctly. I like this. This doesn't have to mean anything other than Steve still can, like, find love, and he's, like, developed a sense of empathy.
Yeah, I think Steve in this episode... he's complicated. There's a lot about him that's complicated.
True.
But I think this scene indicates that like he's noticing people, and like he doesn't feel threatened because like his encounter with the girl that he was hooking up with, and she likes this guy who's in the choir,
right?
And he like looked at the choir and heard the guy singing, and there was an extent to which like other people's talent was threatening to him.
Yes.
Like, it makes me feel dumb or makes me feel inferior when someone else is good at something. And the fact that he can like see this girl be good at this thing and just kind of enjoy that and like notice that and celebrate that about her, I think is a real moment of growth for him. And you feel that the way he's like, show me more, like I want to see other of your stupid edits, like this is really funny. Like I liked your laugh, like I don't know, like I'm enjoying you as a person.
And she immediately reads that as like, this guy's into me, and like, yeah, like I said, it's like a correct empathy reading, and that matters later because Steve with his family does make the effort to mend things and is met with retribution, like is met with punishment, despite like having done the work and like seeing the progress, which I want to talk about in a bit. So it's good to see like this is what like it's working. This like gives Steve the confidence, like, oh, I can like connect with people, like I'm not that bad, maybe. We'll see how that goes. We get a brief scene, by the way, that I just really love, and I wanted to highlight when the whole crew is walking to the house to just shoot the shit before dance practice. And then it's like, all right, Steve, you're teaching today. And like, they're teaching each other the movements and being like, oh, you have to do it like you're being choked and you have to really commit to it. And I just love that this implies that they've been doing this for so long. And they're like, yeah, none of us match. As that principal said a couple episodes ago, Principal Gilchrist, which I only remember because a BBA says it a lot. These guys don't make any sense together, and yet they've come to make sense of each other. They've come to like bond over this thing. This is the power of a collective motion or action. So it's really sweet.
Yeah, and it's a cool way to communicate it's not just that they're doing something together, it's that they're all responsible for it. Like the fact that Steve has a turn leading
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's like you need to know how to do it, and you need to know how to like lead other people in doing it. And that takes a level of maturity, self-awareness, awareness of other people, sense of responsibility that I think that it says a lot about you if you're able to do that. And the fact that Steve is here, it's like, oh my God, Steve, like dance is
Correct.
really good for you. That's great.
You should have been doing a dance class a while ago. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's collective. With everyone learning, there's collective responsibility too. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how it was originally taught. Was each of the prisoners had a movement, so it makes like
Mm-hmm.
narrative sense too. And this is the scene I was talking about though with Steve's dad. Heartbreaking as his dad.
Oh, before we go there, the there's just like a brief interaction with BBA and the OA where she's talking about like spending her brother's money and like I don't know how I want to spend it. I don't think I want to get rid of the check
Yes,
because
she feels like it's
it
the last remnant she has of him.
yeah. I think this is such a special moment. First of all, it's one of the funny BBA lines in the episode where she says, "Maybe I'll buy one of those TVs connected to the internet."
Yeah.
Like buy a TV 10 years later not connected to the internet, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But this I love this moment where the OA is comforting her and she's like talking about her parents bringing her to this museum exhibit about totems, and
Yeah.
she's like, they said that human societies that experienced more suffering had more totems, and she
Mm-hmm.
kind of like says that with this nerdy glee that Britt Marling gets across so well, because
Yeah.
the OA is always so serious and like focused, but when she's talking about like this little totems exhibit, you get a glimpse of like, oh wow, her childhood with Abel and Nancy was nice and it was fun, and she's now able to like draw wisdom not just from her sort of like awful imprisonment experience, but draw wisdom from like a little museum exhibit that she went to as a kid.
Yeah.
And I think that that's special.
It humanizes Theo in a way that we don't get to see too often. She's not just this
Yeah.
person on a holy mission, which I get. And it like draws a line in like her childhood, which is really important.
Mm.
So yeah. I also love that this is BBA basically being like, "Hey, was your NDE like Christian purgatory?" And always like, I can't. I'm sorry. If that's the answer you want, I can't give you that. It's kind of like before Lost ended, when people were like, "Is it purgatory? Like, is it this? Is it that?" Or even when Lost ended, and we're like, "Like, I want just tell me what it was." And it's like, I can't. It's for you to decide what. It's for the person who died to decide what it was. Not. There's no hard answer.
Right.
Sorry, I can't give that to you. I love that because that matters a lot for where the season ends too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Steve gets home.
His dad tells him he paid $5,000 to Miles' family. I love this little detail. To pay their medical deductible. He doesn't even pay their medical bill. He pays their deductible. Which, just like the woman who sued McDonald's and everybody really unfairly assumed that she just wanted money for burning herself. And all she asked for was enough to pay for her medical bills. No more. Fascinating. Just want to always highlight that example of medical legal malpractice. So this is the thing. Steve goes to the shower. He says, "I'm sorry, Dad. He basically says, I'm not in a space to talk about this right now. I do want to talk about it. We will talk about this. I'm very sorry for what I did, and let's work through it." Goes to the shower and out loud starts beating himself up. Like, I really fucked up. Like, I need to make up for this. That was horrible what I did to Miles. I was clearly jealous. Like, he has the whole, this takes years of therapy to reach conclusions like this. This kid's a teenager. And you're like, okay, great. He gets dressed to like have a conversation. He comes downstairs and he's dragged against his will by two tough guys to Asheville. They take him in a car and take him away. And you're like, what the fuck? Yep. There's a lot of moments in this episode that felt resonant to me as somebody who, like, it's like maybe seeks answers or like wants to be the good person and do the right thing. And then it's like, oh yeah, the world moved past your growth. Your growth was not enough for the moment in time that you were in. I'm sorry. So that really hit hard, that whole sequence.
Yeah, it's really tough because um and I think through the character of Steve, this show is sort of challenging us to think about what do we do with and to people who have done something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And like the show, I think, as a stance, is pretty firmly against captivity of any kind,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's kidnapping, trafficking, forcing people into military school, putting people in prison. Like those things are bad and are often kind of lined up right next to each other thematically. Um, so, Steve shouldn't be shipped off to military school, but he did seriously injure that other kid, right?
Correct.
So it's sort of like what is the consequence for that, or like what does that other family do um when their kid has a broken throat? um and it's really tragic and tough because like we can tell Steve is in a better place,
Mm-hmm.
but there are just certain things that like you can't quite outrun
Or
if
out
you've done
therapy.
something that bad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like at some point, the check comes due. Um,
Quite literally.
and yeah, right. And I don't know, like, I don't know what I would have wanted to happen. We then see BBA talking to the principal and basically saying, like, what the heck? We dealt with this, like, under the table, put him in these other classes. Like, this was already handled from her perspective. Um, because she was the one who kind of like stuck
Vouched
up
for
for
Steve.
him
Mm-hmm.
and vouched for Steve. And then the principal was like, "Well, he broke a kid's throat. Like, I don't know what to do about that." But I don't know. It's tough.
And they do have to cut it with comedy because this part starts to get really bleak. And BB-8's attempts to deflect the principal. She's like, "That's why we meet at the house." And he's like, "Meet at the what? I'm sorry." And she's like, I can't talk. I'm eating a sandwich." Incredible work. Incredible work. Smooth as butter. And it's BBA,
No,
not
what I
Betty.
love. Yeah. Yes. To your point about everybody having different names that
Mm-hmm.
you made, I think last time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yeah, what I love about BBA in this episode and in the next one is in that scene I was talking about with the OA, she's like, "Hey, is it going to be dangerous like when we do this thing you need us to do?"
Right.
And the OA is like, it should be fine." Um, so you can tell that BBA is like worried, but she keeps making really risky, bold choices.
Yeah.
Um, Even this moment where she's like, "I gotta go. I'm eating a sandwich." She's like, past her brain's ability to protect her from making mistakes, which is where she like lives so often.
Yeah.
Because she's like making a phone call and sticking up for this kid in a way that she just wouldn't do before. Um, and then that gets even better when we get to the scene at the gas station. Um, but there's some stuff in between this and that, so we don't have to jump to that yet.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk more about
We
BB-8's
got to go to
arc.
Olive Garden.
Quick pit stop at the Olive Garden, which I only remembered because later Nancy's like, that woman at the Olive Garden.
Mm-hmm.
Really cute banter. Speaking of just like wholesome quotidian moments
Mm-hmm.
about Oa's dating life when she was younger. Did that boy used to like you? And like, did you like him? What's going
Mm-hmm.
on there? Um, that is nice and wholesome because it has to be interrupted by the reality, which is a young girl who's been staring at them at the restaurant,
Yeah.
asking the OA to take a picture. And by asking, I mean taking a picture with her, kind of forcibly,
Mm-hmm.
and being like, I'm this will be quick. I just need this. And then she starts to say some really awful triggering stuff like you're a survivor of like
Mm-hmm.
kidnapping and rape and I can't and you still look so pretty. Just like it's kind of remarkable how nakedly evil this person is as a stand-in for the the types of people who don't
Mm.
understand what you've gone through and just want to like take what they get from it. How'd you feel about this whole sequence? And then with Nancy
I don't
responding to
know
it.
that I would call her evil. I think it's like,
Or lacking in empathy, maybe?
yeah, I think it's a very sort of parasocial moment. Because like the OA doesn't even quite know how she feels about it. Because I think she like cares about helping people and making people feel more at ease. And clearly this person at the Olive Garden, like the OA's story, it has inspired her in some way, or like made her feel more safe or whatever. And whether either she's conceiving of that in a kind of fraught way, or she's just like putting her foot in her mouth and saying it badly, because it's like, what do you say to
Yeah.
someone who you like admire?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like, I mean, this is a problem of our sort of, you know, internet media era, that there's just more and more people with whom you could have that kind of parasocial relationship, more and more access to them, more and more frequently people who are not ready to receive that are receiving it. Like the OA is just dumbfounded for the next 15 minutes of the episode or something, of like, what just happened to me? So it's pretty bad, but I think it's kind of just like very, very clumsy, misguided. Like, I want to say thank you, but I don't know what I'm thanking you for, or why you should care, and I gotta go by.
Yeah, and I think it again does what the show has always done well, though, is like putting us in the role of the people who get her, who get the OA and understand her stories. We're like, this person doesn't get it. How dare they? Like, we kind of feel like Nancy here, who lashes out at that girl and asks and wants to ask her to leave because she's like, she doesn't get what you went through. But the truth is, like, Nancy doesn't know what she went through. And we get this incredible shot of the camera just like slowly going in on Nancy as she's ranting about like, I thought I knew you, and like, I just realized that you've never like sat down and told me what happened to you in all these years. And I've wanted to understand, I've wanted to access my daughter's interiority, and I can't. And that hurts and sucks. And then again, the OA, traumatized and like you said, dumbfounded, just turns to her and says, like, I'm the original angel. I was trying to get my friends into another dimension. And Nancy slaps her across the face in front of everyone. And you're like, it's this moment. I mean, we've talked a lot about the metaphors of the show, but the idea of like trying to tell something to your parents and like they aren't ready to receive the information yet, I think really struck a chord with me here. Because then French immediately it even says her name. He says, OA, you want to get out of here. And she's like, yes. It's like your found family will save you sometimes. That's what this all felt like to me, was this moment. And this is like also what Nancy's arc then is about, is, you know, I want to love my daughter and I want to protect her, but in trying to understand her, I've in fact pushed her very far away from understanding. And we've created a distance. It's a very classic like psychological dynamic between daughters and mothers, is this like, in trying to make you right, I've pushed you away from me and made you resentful of me. It's really sad.
Yeah, I also take note of this interaction with Nancy, and then an interaction that the OA has with Steve later, 2 times in this episode, where, or no, is that the next one? No, it's this one.
Which scene?
Where Steve stabs her in the leg.
That's in this episode. Yeah, this one.
Yeah. These 2 moments where a character lashes out at the OA in violence, and it's sort of like, what is that violence if not like the only way they feel like they can touch her, is kind of what it is. You know what I mean? Like the mom, Nancy, feels kind of so distant and so alienated and so pushed away, that she's like craving this moment of like sudden contact.
Yes.
Which
Very well
isn't to excuse it or make it okay, because it's not okay.
No.
But I think there is a way in which those moments, like Nancy's moment and then Steve's moment, are kind of the same thing. And I think this, like we were saying, these two episodes really concerned about physical touch, whether affectionate or violent. Yeah.
The desire to understand someone else, right? There's a line later in this episode or in the next one where the OA says that she hadn't been touched in all of those years. Like she hadn't had like skin to skin contact with another human. And it's like she comes back and, you know, later in this episode, she's like, I can't, you know, when she's in French's car, she's like, I can't bond with Nancy and Abel. They don't listen to me. They medicated me. And it's like, yeah, but they've been trying to access you. They were trying and they couldn't get inside of your mind. That's why they feel distant to you. And I think that line especially hits home again with this like queer metaphor of people trying to bond with their parents and being like, I'm so desperate for recognition and to be understood that in fact the people who have the greatest capacity for empathy for me, my family, are pushing me away, and I'm scared, and I'm in return going away from them. I think that's all super relatable for anybody who's, you know, struggled to come out to their parents or had like any issues with like a personal moral thing that they couldn't talk to out there with their parents.
Yeah, and I think, you know, French gives her the kind of advice that you're only going to be willing to receive from a friend.
Yeah.
Which is like, look, you have your resentments of them, and like there is a way that you could be more welcoming and inviting to them about how you're explaining this. Like, sure, she technically responded correctly when Nancy was like, I don't even know what those scars are where you got them. And she's like, I gave them to myself. They're the movements. I'm the original angel. Like, technically that's the truth, but you know that is not what Nancy wants to know. Like, you know that she is like distraught thinking about what happened to you. It's like, I'm making up all these possibilities in my head. Because we see later when the OA actually invites them in, the detail she starts with is, it was a house by a mine. Like,
yeah,
okay, I'm going to start telling you details, and I'm going to ask you if that's okay. Like, is this what you want to know? All right, I'll keep going. Which is really hard to do. It requires a lot of vulnerability and self-awareness, and to an extent, like, that maybe shouldn't be your role or job as the kid, to sort of like parcel out for your parents what they're going to be able to hear from you, especially if we're thinking about the queerness metaphor.
Bingo.
So like, take that with a grain of salt. But, you know, I think French, being someone who has like a very difficult relationship with his parent, can tell like, hey, believe it or not, like your parents are actually pretty receptive. And there's an extent to which they've like made good faith efforts to make your life good that warrant at least your respect.
Exactly. That's what a speech is about.
And there's like, there's a more respectful way that you can engage with them. And I think that is like a really, really cool moment from him. And he like threads that needle so delicately.
There's, I don't, for the sake of time, I don't want to like go into my own personal life too much, but this whole sequence, starting with the Olive Garden and ending with French's speech to the OA in the car, like struck a direct chord with me, because like I said, I have like a pretty good relationship with my parents, but I also, it's a relationship that's like rooted in difficulty in understanding each other. And also like when I moved out, there was this, not 7 years, but like period of time where I like became somebody else and came back, and they were like, I don't know who you are. So like I don't feel comfortable getting into it too much right now, but like I really, really, really felt all of this like hitting me directly, and it was like it's really special and well written. I think the actress who plays Nancy is amazing. I think like French is amazing here. Everyone is like, that's why this episode is so good. It's just like people acting their asses off and saying what they've been thinking the whole time. Like French's line here about like, sorry, try not to get choked up. He's like, you told everybody everything. You told us everything that happened to you. You told Hap everything that happened to your family. You could have stayed with Katoon. You could have stayed with your father. And then you came back here to be with Nancy and Abel. And you're not telling them anything? Just think about that from like a fate perspective and from a honesty perspective. Like the world brought you back to these parents for a reason. Maybe it's time to like open that door again.
Yeah.
Anyways, good stuff.
Yeah.
We get a kind of comedic absurdity or like a Coen Brothers-esque scene with Steve and BB-8 in the convenience store, the gas station. I love this
so much.
Just y'all need to watch this scene if you watch any part of the episode. BB-8 followed the car that was taking him to the camp or whatever. She's gonna rescue him. She tells him what to do in the convenience store. She says, "Go to the bathroom. It's out of order. Go to the back. Say you're being molested. I will yell. They will get arrested. It'll be perfect." Not accounting for the fact that she's one person in the middle of nowhere and nobody's hearing it. The funniest part, and you noted this as well, is like. Steven says like Steve says like people, they want me to say that they're like touching my dick, or like you're looking at it.
This is the exact exchange.
You have it. Thank you.
Yeah. She's like, "Do you know the plan?" And he says, "Okay, I'll say they're touching my dick, and you come pick me up." But she says, "Oh, don't say it like that, Steven." Calls him Steven. He says, "Why not?" She says, "Because it sounds like it's your fantasy and you're making it up." And he goes, "A dude?" And she says, "People are gay, Steven."
He goes,
"I know people are gay.
I know, we're all a little gay. I know people are gay" is the best line. No, "people are gay, Steven" is the best line of the episode. Oh my,
so funny.
I noted when you told me about your thoughts on the episode, I was like, Phyllis Miller is so incredible at being her character from The Office, like absurdly comedic, and then just like turns the dial and becomes the most real person that we've all known and loved and met in our lives. And you're like, oh my God, BB-8, I love you so much. I respect you.
It's really funny to witness because on The Office, it's like 80% people are gay, Steven, and 20% like, oh, you're deeply depressed.
Yeah.
And then in this show, it's like 80% deeply depressed and 20% people are gay, Steven.
It's so right, dude.
And she does both of those so well. It's a delight to watch her in this show.
It's frankly beautiful. And then she had this whole plan. Again, it counts for the guys, the toughs, like getting caught, and they don't. And then right before Steve,
it's not a good plan.
No, it's really not. She pulls out Theo's check and offers them the check for 20 grand or something.
50 grand.
50 grand. She was gonna buy a TV with the internet on it.
They're like, bring that over here. Is this real?
Dude, I don't think I've ever told you this story. When Pokemon Go first came out, a friend and I walked around our hometown, and like some guys in a truck asked us to see how do I get to this place? They're like, can you show me on your GPS? My friend handed them his phone to be like, here it is on the GPS. And the guy goes, you just handed two people in a moving vehicle your car. Like, we could just steal your phone right now. And my friend was like, oh shit. And I literally was like, they just gave them the check and then walked in front.
I know. I was like, oh my God, they're going to run her over and keep the check. This is so dumb.
Oh my God. It was like the leftovers, like freaking Matt with the money outside of the casino. Just one of those like, oh, you bonehead. Thankfully, they do just take it and they're like, I don't know, Steve, get out. We don't care. We'll tell your parents something. It's fine. So I guess everything's fine. But now BB-8 has sacrificed something for poor Steve. Here's where the episode ends. Steve finds everybody in the house. We've all gone back there. He lashes out at the OA, who, like a saint, calmly touches his shoulder and gives him the hug that he so badly needs. And he says another wonderful line. You saw me do some fucking flips and thought, this guy? Which Pat actually said that on our episode, where it's like, why is it the first thing she saw of him was him filming himself doing flips on a roof? And she was like, that guy's the most honorable man ever. And Steve's rage, he gets so frustrated with the OA They stabs her with a piece of wood in the thigh.
Yeah, I think it's a pen.
I thought it was
like
a piece of
falls. Wood. It might be a piece of wood. I don't know. Some part of it like falls out after he does it.
Right.
Yeah.
Why? Why did he stab her?
Yeah, why did he stab her? I was very shocked by that moment. I mean, I think he's like so like pure adrenaline right now, right?
Yeah.
He's pissed. He's like everything was going better. I was better. And it was because of this, but this wasn't enough. Like it wasn't enough to save me from my fucking life. And I'm so mad. I'm mad at everyone else. I'm mad at myself. I'm just gonna like stab. But he shocks himself with doing that.
He says how, and then you're like, how? Wait, I thought he was gonna say, how did you survive getting stabbed? Instead, he says, how did you survive? Because what he's thinking is like, yeah, like you said, every time I think things are going well and I do the work, things get worse. Well, how the hell did you survive something that was 100 times worse than all of this? And she literally just says, I survived because I wasn't alone. Like, you working with these people is what's going to get you through your family situation, not you stabbing people and running out on people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's super evocative. And then we wrap, just the last scene here, as she dons her iconic white jumpsuit, which we've never seen before, but sure. The OA lights a candle and says, I'm going to tell you guys the end of my story.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Pretty sick.
Pretty sick.
Stray notes before we move
on. I just love Raheem. The way that she's like, oh, you think I'm making it up or whatever? He says, nothing so reductive.
Yeah.
What a great what a great diffusion. Nothing so reductive.
Beautiful line.
Yeah.
No. Basically, could have just said no.
No. That's pretty much it. Shiny coat. I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about this next episode.
Yes, please. When we come back from this brief musical break, we will be discussing the season 1 finale of the OA, Invisible Self.
Hello and welcome back to Chatz OA. I'm Magellan, that's Allen. Hey Allen, how are you still doing?
I'm still doing well. The OA theme song resolves in such a beautiful way because it sounds like all the drums fade away and it's just calm, and it kind of feels to me like passing on into the next dimension or something. Like,
whoa. And they show the title card when we pass on into the next dimension.
True. The OA verse.
So, waivers. What's up with that?
Now,
this is a show where we watch 2 episodes of streaming television program The OA from 2016, starting in 2016, I should say, 2 episodes a week. And the second episode we watched this week was season 1, episode 8, Invisible Self. Written by Britt Marling and Zal Batmanglij, directed by Zal Batmanglij. It aired on, with the rest of the season, December 16th, 2016. So if you're binging this bad boy, it might be Christmas Eve right now. You're waiting to unwrap those presents, but you already got the best present of all, which is the end of a real season. It's been a real season. Alan, what happened in Invisible Self?
So, frankly, what didn't happen in Invisible Self? A lot. In this episode, after OA recounts a dramatic final night at Haps, the others begin to see her story in a new light. The fragments of the dream click into place. Okay. I know, Magellan. The first thing you want to do is talk about the ending, because it's one of the most striking endings to a season of television I've ever fucking seen in my life. I know. We're gonna talk about this with the knowledge that we're building towards that, y'all. But we're not gonna jump the gun here. Yeah, it was intentional. Okay, so this episode's weird. It's really weird. I kind of I'm glad that they wrapped up the kidnapping storyline, and it felt like but it kind of ended exactly like I expected for the most part. But with that one detail of everything that happens with the cop and with his wife, I shouldn't be surprised that any of that happened. Like for the most part, Invisible Self is an episode that's like everything goes where it needs to go, and then it hits a certain point where it's like, and that's it, and that's life, and you're like, wait, how is there a season 2? That like everything's answered, I guess. And then there's a bit of a small time jump, and you're like, I guess that's how everything ends. Is we're all, and then there's one more thing, and you're like, fuck, I need season 2 immediately. I need it right now, dude. So that was my overall feeling. Was like, oh, this all kind of built to a nice tidy bow. Okay, great. Oh
yeah.
Hold on. Now, just one more second. Anyways, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about certain parts of this episode. It's endings are hard. They're especially hard when you have to end something so that you can be like, just kidding, it's starting again. And this episode like goes to great lengths to, like I was saying in the first half, convince us of the possibility of something that I've just never been convinced is possible in the show, which is that the story is not real. And I think they gave it the good college try, and I think you kind of have to like they couldn't have done a season where the show never questions the OA's story. That wouldn't have felt quite right. But this episode like really sits in this denouement of like, oh, I guess everybody thinks that she made it up, and yeah, like that, I don't know, that didn't feel very good to me. Yeah. But I don't know what the fix is, or if there needs to be a fix. I think it's an episode that has to serve this kind of funky purpose of like telling you what the OA doesn't know and then sending her to a place she's never been. And so you're kind of in the middle of that, like, okay.
Well, it's scary almost. Like we have reached the end of the OA's knowledge. We've like gone everything that she has to teach us. And now we're left to go, what was the point of all of that? And, our characters have their faith shaken up and are like, well, that was everything? There's no, like, secret to the universe, and there's no confirmation of the other dimension. You never went. So now I'm suddenly, without the evidence, I'm already calling this all into question. And then, Steve sees the books and goes, it's this, like...
French sees the books.
Sorry. No...
Yeah, French breaks into her house.
French totally breaks in and talks to Raheem. You're right. Yeah, that matters a lot because he's the one who tells her, like, you came here for a reason last episode. And is now like, oh, shit. It's this Life of Pi moment of like, oh, everything meant something. Or Usual Suspects. Usually everything here meant something. How was I supposed to... What was I ever supposed to believe? It's really interesting, and it's really sad, and I want to talk about how everybody reacts to it. I think that's one of the more interesting things here. But first, we do conclude our imprisonment story. As I completely predicted, Stan was never going to arrest Hap. Some bullshit was going to come up, and you can never trust a cop. That we knew that in 2016. We know that now. He aims a gun at Hap. Hap immediately goes, yeah, I did it. I have 5 people downstairs, and they're all working for me. But don't shoot me yet, Stan. I'm not going to jail. I can heal ALS. You have to let me do it, though. And then if it works, then I'm good. If it doesn't work, you can arrest me and put me in jail for the rest of my life.
This whole sequence is like brilliantly paced because really this whole from like episode 6 to here, they make episode 6 30 minutes long or whatever, ended on the most tense, like there's a gun to the villain's head, then say, but first we have to talk about our feelings over baked ziti for 50 minutes. And you're like, okay, fine.
Sure.
That was very satisfying. Felt good. Now I want my dessert. And you go to the next episode and they say, we're back. There's a gun to his head. Oh my God. He flips around and says, I did it. I'm the bad guy. And you're like, oh my God. He said he did it. He's the bad guy. And they just keep going like, boom, boom, boom. Makes the deal. Stan's like, no, I'm not going to do the deal. Cut to the car. We think Hap's arrested. Oh my God. It's his wife. Oh my God. We're back. Well, I got to fix the wife. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's
breakneck pace.
Dynamite. This beginning of this episode is breakneck, exactly.
Yeah.
And it leads to Stan basically taking the deal and saying, okay, I'm bringing Evelyn into your house, Hap. I won't tell anybody anything if you can fix ALS right now. You mentioned that shot of showing the cop car, very Twin Peaksy to me, like overlay of Hap's face.
Yes.
Pulling into the car, and I almost thought that was the OA in the back, and I was like, wait, are they rescuing her?
I think you're meant to wonder if that's what's going on.
Like, he took it. Goodness prevails, right? No. Homer and OA are forcibly brought up to Evelyn's room and not allowed to leave until she's healed. Homer immediately says, well, hold on. If we do it wrong, she doesn't get healed and Hap gets arrested. Possible? Which is true. But the OA is like, we can't say we do the things that we do if we decline to help someone whose life we could have saved.
Yeah. And I think that's a really important moment of like moral clarity for our protagonists, because what brings Stan over the edge is Hap saying the thing that his like evil scientist buddy said, which is like, hey, there's no good or evil. There's just what a man can stand.
Right.
And Homer's kind of advocating for a similar sentiment, which is like, look,
we're not obligated to help this person. Yeah, we need to leave.
Yeah. And the OA is kind of like, well, but what's the good thing to do? Like, let's do the good thing.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what they need to do. And it works. They have magic healing powers.
Right. Kind of. This is the thing about the stories, right? Because Evelyn does wake up, as we see, or not wake up, but she like is able to move her body again. She grabs the OA's hand. Everybody sees that, and she says, "You're finally here." And she tells the OA, when I was a little girl, I dreamed that I was falling in water, and then I was in a bus, and I got out of the bus, and I flew up, and then I died, and I saw another girl, and they told me in the other world that I had to help that girl and her friend, the two angels. I had to help the two angels, two captive angels, and now is the time for me to deliver my message to you. And they're like, okay, what's the message? And she does the fifth movement, the fifth and final movement for them, the one that they needed to escape, which, as we did on the video version in part 1, essentially is like using your index and your pinky to move your eyebrows around, and then it's really cool. It's fucking the coolest one.
Yeah, I think it's the coolest one. And she says it's the moth. Like there's a moth that went into her mouth, and it's like kind of like that. Like the moth is emerging from your mouth or something.
Right.
It's awesome.
I write in my notes here, okay, this is where Hap shoots Stan. This makes perfect sense. Because Evelyn then, like, she says, I'm so glad to have one more opportunity to hug my Stan. And then Stan breaks into the room. They hug. And you're like, okay, this is where Hap shoots Stan. Hap, in fact, shoots Stan and Evelyn.
Damn.
Brutal. I had no... Yeah. Every time I think I know what the OA's going to do, they have to be like, nah, he also just killed someone with ALS. Thank you, nut job. Which is, again, why I'm like, did any of this work? Because, like, we saw it. Yeah, it's on camera, but, like, then she died. So, like, what did it matter? And that's the tragedy with the OA's decision here was, like... The person you saved was never going to live. You got the thing you needed, but you can't even use it now for years. This scene kind of justifies her whole coming back, getting the crew together, relearning the movements. It's like, yeah, everything was set up for you. This is the only way you make it up to Homer and those guys who were in prison.
Yeah, well, and then we learn, because then she's like embracing Homer. It's the first time that they've touched.
That's the
first time that she's touched anyone in 7 years. Hap is ragefully jealous, is like, stop touching, get away from him, I'll shoot Homer, gets her out of the room, and then knocks her out, I guess. I don't know how we get from there to the car.
Mm-hmm.
But we then get to the car and Hap leaves her by the side of the road. It's just this ugly, ugly monologue from him where he's like, "Oh, did you think you were indispensable to this? Like, we don't need you. Like, I know all the movements now, and we're all going to go to the other dimension, and you're going to have to live and be alone." It's like, oh my God, this guy is so
Sad and broken.
sad and broken and like vindictive and possessive and obsessive, and like, you didn't want to be my girlfriend, so now I'm gonna steal all your friends and take them to another dimension.
Right.
Awful. And then I guess he does. We don't see that happen. We don't know for certain, but that is what the OA believes took place. Is he went and did the movements with them, and they went to another dimension.
They've never been seen again. So I think it's important here that the show is cutting from the end of this story to the present day, where all of her followers are like listening intently as everybody walks in. Nancy and Abel, Buck's parents, French's mom, Steve's parents, Jesse's sister, everybody's here. And they freak out, and Nancy wraps the jacket around the OA and says, "We're taking you out of here." No, like she like is holding a knife at one point, which is Buck's knife. There's some like emotional implication of Buck having a knife that we don't have time to really analyze, but that's happening. I had the moment here, Magellan, that made me feel so embarrassed and so sad for this crew, where I said, foolish of me to assume that people knew where they were going every night. This whole time, I've assumed that they've been telling them either we're hanging out with the OA or we have a club. And they've like, because like Steve tells his dad last episode, like, we played pickup basketball. But like, they're presumably going multiple times a week, you know?
Right.
Not getting a lot of sleep. Somebody has to ask the question eventually. And yeah, this is them getting found out.
Yeah, well, and we get the sense like each of them has a life where they could probably just do this and people wouldn't notice for a while. Like,
right.
French's mom is not taking note of his comings and goings. Steve's parents don't care. Buck's parents don't seem super aware.
Jesse's sister doesn't have the
Jesse's sister, yeah. So like, everybody doesn't really.
BB-8 lives alone.
BB-8 lives alone. Really, the thing that gets everybody here is the blow up at the Olive Garden.
True.
And I guess then they follow French's car or something. I don't know exactly how they get there. It's not explained. There's just like a cop car in the background, but it seems like that's the moment that actually got them found out.
Yeah, I think the implication, simple enough, is that moment leads to all of the parents talking to each other and being like, where do you think they went? And they're like, oh, my kid goes here at night. My kid, I don't know where my kid goes at night. It's the abandoned house. I know that Steve goes there. Let's all go to the abandoned house. And then that, like, they presumably talked because of the Olive Garden event. They finally talked to each other.
Yeah. Or maybe Raheem told.
Oh, like, I hope not.
Right. But he's the one that she's told about this whole thing.
Oh, I hope not.
I mean, I don't know. That's not said anywhere, but it's a possibility. Because she's then put under house arrest, and clearly he's like monitoring her house at the point that French breaks in. So there's a little more FBI presence and awareness of her movements than maybe we were aware of prior to this point. Yeah.
And it's this is the moment where like the present day starts to break down pretty holistically, because it's like, well, everything's been found out. What are we supposed to do in it? We can't have meetings anymore. There's no more story to tell. And like, what people, we're all looking for answers now. We never got the answers we wanted. Alfonso comes out from his, because like Nancy and Abel are trying to talk to other parents. They don't all want to talk to them. They're like, your daughter is evil and has corrupted my kids. Alfonso comes out and says, I just want you guys to know everything the OA said is true and I'm going to prove it. And there's this moment, again, Nancy's actress, so good. She's like heartbroken because she's like, oh, she told you everything. And he's like, yeah, she told me everything. And you just see in her eyes the regret of like, I let my daughter like find her found family and not trust me. That's my fault. So then like the best, in my opinion, the best arc of this last episode is Nancy being like, what did I do specifically to push my daughter away from me? Which I loved.
Yeah.
Because we get, you know, Abel sitting by the phone that's ringing nonstop until he throws it off the wall. Reporters swarm the family's house. They have to take refuge in a hotel. I love this hotel. They have to close the blinds so people can't find them. It's just a very like, not a Motel 6. It's like a one tier above a Motel 6. I love it. OA starts to tell her whole story to Nancy and Abel. I'm finally just going to tell you what happened. And as you said, Magellan, she starts by being like, it happened next to a mine. It happened in a place we've all seen before. We know these things happen. It's weird. It's sad. And she doesn't get right into the crazy stuff. Speaking of like unspoken moments from OA's parents, OA asks, do you guys want me to stop? Like, I'm giving you a lot of information right now. And you just see Abel go like, no, I want to hear everything. I'm ready to, I'm prepared to receive this information. Beautiful wordless acting here. And then more sad stuff. Nancy shows Abel the note typed out from her daughter. I love how it's like manually typed out and printed. I'm going to go on a mission to find my dad, my real father. Please don't be mad. Which like, I don't know if you've ever written a note to your parents before, like a note. I have like specific memory of, this is funny. I clogged the toilet in my bathroom downstairs one night while playing video games late. You've heard the story before. And I wrote a note on top of the toilet to my dad that was like, hey, good morning. I'm sorry I clogged the toilet. I don't know how to fix it. Please don't be mad at me. And then like 10 minutes later, he came downstairs. He's like, why didn't you wake me up? Why would you let this be a problem? You could have woken me up. I was like, I'm scared. And I think I empathize with the OA here. You're like, I just need to leave. I need to go.
Yeah.
Don't be mad at me. And this forms a huge rift between Nancy and Abel.
Oh my God. This scene is so good. He just leaves the room. She follows him. It's funny because she's like, can we talk about it? His delivery. I'm busy, Nance. I'm making a waffle.
I love it.
He says,
and then
I'm going to eat it.
I'm going to eat it. Making waffle, I'm gonna eat it.
She says, we can't talk here. He says, that's right. But then he's very direct and he says, hey, you have been lying to me every day for 7 years by not telling me about this.
Yeah.
So like you can't demand that I talk to you about this right now because you have been lying to me for 7 years. And I think to me that this moment, like a theme of the episode is the thing that Hap says at the beginning, which is like, there's no good or evil. There's just what a man can stand.
Yes.
And it's sort of interrogating, like, because the evil thing that Stan, the sheriff guy does is he gets help for his sick wife, which is like not evil.
On
it's
paper,
not a bad thing to want. But it raises the question of like, what can you stand for the sake of the people you love? And is that actually like misguided or taking you away from your values or whatever? Because Nancy takes this on. She's like, oh, Abel's going to see that Prairie's looking for her dad, but you're her dad. So I'm going to like hide this and carry this guilt for years because I can stand it. And I think like, I want to protect you from it. But we see like, that wasn't the right choice. Because Nancy's been suffering under this belief that this was all her fault.
Yeah, she says that here. My favorite, the line that got me crying in this episode. I thought that because she was blind, she would need me forever. I needed her to love me. I just did. I needed too much, so she left. How could I tell you? Like, it's my fault, and I'm so ashamed that I pushed our daughter away that I elected to not tell the one person who could help me through this.
Yeah.
Nancy's carrying a lot of motherly grief here. This is like another classic therapy thing, is like the ways that mothers can like push people away, push their children away with like unintentionally. But like in an effort to protect, you have pushed away, and Nancy is coming to terms with that, and it's so heartbreaking.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really well written, well delivered. I love Nancy and Abel in these 2 episodes.
So much.
Yeah, it's great.
Back in the hotel room, the OA calls an operator to get the numbers of any of her friends and realizes that she doesn't know anybody's full name. They're like,
she knows BBA's name, but her number's unlisted.
Right.
And then, she doesn't know Alfonso's last name. She's like, French. Alfonso.
The part later where he goes, "It's me, Alfonso Sosa," and I was like, fuck. Yeah,
that's right.
I needed that a minute ago. This is like their last gasp at like understanding her, right? Because then him and Steve are in school investigating the HAP thing. I love this where Steve calls the ALS Society and says the line, the very thematically relevant line, "What's the point of having a society if you can't help each other?" The most written by a writer, slam dunk in the writer's room. Like, okay.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also like a kind of poignant question of like, solidarity and the institutions in our society that sort of like advertise themselves through solidarity, but then I don't know a thing about the ALS Society. I'm sure they do great work if they exist, but the way that those things can be very distant and faceless and bureaucratic, and I think Steve, in his sort of teenager way, is speaking to that, which is like, I'm just trying to like reach somebody who can help me reach somebody. And it doesn't make sense to me that there's like all this pain and suffering in the world and there aren't ways to like reach people about it. So I'm very charmed by that moment from Steve.
It's layered. It's really layered. Because they find this Japanese upload of OA playing the violin, and they're like, "Oh, we have something. We got a start." That night, Alfonso goes through the window of the Johnson household to find clues, and he finds a box of books under her bed and sees a book about ghosts, Homer's The Iliad, books about alternate dimensions, books about death, angels. And he has this like, again, like Usual Suspects moment of like, oh my god, is she just a nerd? Is she just a nerd who like writes stories and made this whole thing up, like, and is processing her trauma through fiction? As he realizes this, he bumps into Raheem downstairs, who again has to be the best therapist ever, because he hugs French and he's like, "Are you familiar with secondhand trauma?" He's like, I'm 15. I don't know what that is. He's like, "Well, in a way, you listening to her story helped the OA process her own trauma. So you helped her. You got to accept that you are helping her, and you have helped her. Pay no attention to the fact that I'm here. That's fine. Don't worry about that."
Yeah, this moment, it's so Riz Ahmed like delivers this scene in a way that I can't imagine anybody pulling this off the way that he does.
Yes.
Where he's like, "Who are you? How'd you get in here? Like, was somebody here?" This very like, "You're in trouble, but I am going to be very direct with you, get the information I need out of you." And then as soon as he catches on, like, "Oh, you're one of those kids," he immediately goes into like teacher turning the chair around.
Hey, let's rap for a second, you and me.
Yeah, like, let me teach you a little bit. It's like,
you ever hear about secondhand trauma?
Yeah, it's such a good scene. I love this character.
It's amazing.
He's so disarming and like quick to get to the core of people and what they need.
You guys both just did a B&E and you're sharing a tender hug. Like, just like sit with that fact. Sit with that truth for a minute. Oh, again, it's only Riz Ahmed is the actor who can pull that off.
Yeah. And I think it's cool to have a show where like you have the main character who's like, I want to help people is like part of her motivation. And you have other helpers in the story. And so you can kind of see like what does helping look like or feel like, or it like it's special the way that the OA wants to help people, but it doesn't have to be the case that she's the only person in the world who's like developing that skill set. There are people like Raheem who are doing that in their own way, in their own lane. And there's like just something really kind of optimistic about his existence in the story that I really love. That he's just a guy who like has seen some bad shit and has decided, I want to be a helper, and I'm going to take every opportunity to do that, even if, like you said, I'm catching a kid breaking into somebody's house at like 2 a.m. If I can tell them a little something about their feelings, the world's a better place.
Yeah. That's why I hope he's actually a good guy. It's like I need faith in helpers, like Mr. Rogers style.
Yeah, I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's just a cop. Like he's still a cop. He still
works for the FBI.
Works for the FBI.
True.
So it's like we can only kind of love him and expect the best from him so much.
That's a great point. This next scene is it's like the pivot of the rest of the episode in the outside the Applebee's. We've recorded a Chatz episode inside of an Applebee's before. There's something spiritual about an Applebee's, especially the outside with the big cartoon apple. And I mean it. I know I'm being funny, but I also mean it.
No, it's real.
There's something to like, they got Little Caesars when the reporter came over. They went to Olive Garden and had a big blow up. And they came to Jesus in the Applebee's parking lot. Like these like deeply suburban, boring, like places we've all been to 800,000 times are where life happens and where your faith changes and they get into arguments in the parking lots of convenience stores, especially for teenagers who don't have a lot of autonomy. It's like, yeah, where else are they going to meet up but in the back of someone's car in the Applebee's parking lot? Like, they can't go to the house anymore. I just love that, and the way that even the shot like keeps the logo there, maybe for product placement reasons, but also just like, we are here. It settles us in the place.
Yeah, there's like this refusal of specialness in a stretch of this episode where it's sort of like, okay, you are convinced by this story, you think that the OA has magic powers, you kind of think that you saw her do those powers with Steve, but she could just be really empathetic and kind and resilient, because you can also see like regular people like Raheem do the same thing. And so the episode's like, right now, we are going to fully refuse that she has special powers or that there's anything supernatural happening by doing what you're saying of like, where are these characters going to make sense of these books? In the Applebee's parking lot, out of the back of a trunk. Then they're going to go back to school and they're going to sit in the cafeteria and they're going to like do their normal lives. And BBA got her box at the Container Store. Like, this is not, special things are not happening here. This is as normal can be.
It's not a fairy tale anymore. They're not sneaking out in the middle of the night, leaving their doors open to allow her in so she can tell them stories about resurrection and reincarnation and magical movements. It's like we go to school and it becomes normal, which is what sets the scene for this finale. It's like, what does a return to normalcy look like for our 5 here?
Because part of it is like, before we talk about the big moment, is like, any encounter you have with faith of any kind, it needs to withstand just like average life for years and years and years. Like, you can have these kind of transcendent experiences of, wow, there's something bigger than myself and I'm called to something greater. And then you need to like go eat a sandwich and have a Monday because you're a human being living a human life. And we deal with those um, juxtapositions all the time. And I think a lot of the time, like TV doesn't quite sit in that juxtaposition because it's like, we're going to take you to another place where things feel important,
Mm-hmm.
where you don't have to kind of square, whoa, I just had this like amazing come to Jesus moment and now I got to drive in traffic. But we as people need to make sense of that all the time.
Right.
Um, and then sometimes that normalcy, completely out of our control, is utterly shattered by the scariest, most awful thing that's ever happened to you. And we have to make meaning in those moments too. And that's where we get to this big scene here.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get what's implied to be a small time jump, right? And it's depicted through like a
Mm-hmm.
drone shot of the town as beautiful woodwind and music plays. So we're suggesting like it's been a while. None of us hang out together
Like a few
anymore.
months at least, yeah. Or a
Yeah.
few weeks maybe.
BBA collects her box from the Container Store and puts all her things in it. Steve and his new girlfriend are flirting comfortably at the lunch table. French is getting teased by his friends. Buck sits quietly with people that I guess are close enough to be considered friends. Doesn't really have any conversations happening. And OA is planting with Abel and taking her medication. And she's taking online writing classes. She wants to become a writer.
Yep.
They're selling the house soon. These are very
Yep.
like deeply, profoundly normal things happening.
Yep.
And then an active shooter approaches the high school, a group of active shooters, and start opening fire. And we see the effects of that as all of the students, attempt to duck and cover, attempt to escape, but they crowd the door. I mean, this stuff's like extremely triggering if you've ever lived in America in the last 30 years and like read about or seen any of this stuff. I want to talk. We're going to have to talk about the like 2010s history of school shooting and the like role of gun control and all of this. Yeah. But everybody's attempting to run. The teachers are attempting to help, and BBA's first instinct is to drop her box and go be with the kids. My kids are in danger, she says. The OA runs out of the bath. She says, I had the dream again. I need to save them. And the OA runs out to the school, and from the outside looking in, she sees all of them. They all look at each other, share a glance. They stand up as the shooters enter the cafeteria, and they proceed to do the movements together. All the movements in like perfect synchronicity, as if they never forgot a single second of them. The OA joins them, and they are able to stop the shooters because this distracts them for long enough to be disarmed. And unfortunately, the OA is fatally shot. And she's brought out to an ambulance, and she assures the kids as they run after her that she has the will and they did everything right. And this is exactly according to plan. Steve chases after the ambulance. He says, take me with you, please. And she describes what it's like. She did it. They did the movements, and this is what it's like to go to the other dimension. Supposedly, it's like an invisible current taking you away. And as we fade to the credits and we wake up, she's in a different place. And she says, Homer? She sees Homer. And that's where the episode cuts. So this episode comes out in December 2016. In 2016, there were at least 20 shootings in the United States. The majority of those happening at schools. We talked about this in the context of The Leftovers in 2017, but also in the context of a lot of shows about high school, or about grief. We're thinking a lot about this stuff at the time. In between the OA seasons 1 and 2, Parkland High School happens in February 2018. So it can read, if you're not familiar with the U.S. history of like gun control and like school shootings, as like really jarring that this is the final scene of the season. But when you consider like what the show has been about, it kind of makes a sort of sick and clear sense. How did you feel about this final scene, Magellan? Because I know it's pretty controversial. A lot of people think it's like a little bit too much.
I mean, having been a school teacher, having done drills with my students where it's like, okay, we're going to do a lockdown drill, and here's what we would do if there was a shooter in the building, and like, where in the room would you go? There's a pervasiveness of like, I can't imagine what it's like to be growing up, as someone in Gen Z who this is like such a present part of their understanding of and relating to being in school. Because like, obviously when we were in high school, there had been widely publicized shootings in high schools, but I don't think it was so present of a fear.
Well, the amount increased significantly.
And the amount increased significantly.
2012, you have 12 active shootings. 2013, 26. By 2018, we're jumping up to 43 school shootings in a year. These are real numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it feels a little dated, to be honest, because it's like in the midst of that upswing that you're describing. So there's something to it where it's like a startling thing or something like that. It feels, I don't know, it bugs me because like everything the characters do is like so irresponsible and dangerous, and I'm sort of left wondering like how we obviously shouldn't take this like literally as like when there's a shooter in the building, do the movements, but it's sort of like what do we take this to mean exactly? Like, why is this the thing that's happening?
Totally.
And I don't know. I mean, I think the most clear explanation is you sort of need like a test. You need a moment of intensity and fear for the characters to demonstrate their resolve and to sort of be like, we are strong enough. We know that together, if we do this thing, we will be safe, or we will maybe not even be safe, but we will like accomplish our goal. And I don't know. I don't know if this had to be the way to do it. I have questions about why we don't see the shooter's face or upper body. Like, we don't know anything about them except they seem like a adult white man. They seem very well equipped for this.
There's multiple of them. They're armored.
Yeah. So it's sort of, the show's kind of like, it doesn't matter what they're trying to do. They represent like the presence of violence in our society. Guns in this episode are wielded by bad people. Hap is the only other person in the episode who shoots somebody. Abel had a gun in the previous episode, but he put it down.
Correct.
So there's something about guns. I don't know. I have a lot of uncertain feelings, but I'm curious what you thought about it.
I'm somebody who likes poetry and who likes impressionistic storytelling a lot. That's like pretty well known about me at this point. I think this scene on paper is like, on paper, flat out, without the proper context, is embarrassing. I think it's embarrassing like that. It reminds me of people doing it outside of Trump Tower. But I choose to take a positive reading of this, which is that in times of strife and horrifying, inconsolable grief and difficulty, we process that through community and through like intentionality. And that's what the movements are to me, is like, we're doing something together and we're doing it with a purpose. The idea that we're literally going to another dimension, like, does not matter. It never mattered to me. That's the point of the sci-fi, is that the mechanics don't matter for more. It's like, what do they mean for the people?
Yeah.
I think you could take that's like what you could take away from the OA so far, and that's why I think this totally functions as a series finale if you wanted it to. Is like they learned to process it. They never stopped believing, and she moved on. She finally got to move on too. I find that like an ultimately not a super satisfying ending, but it could work as a series finale. I watched this and I was like, oh, I'm kind of good. I want to know what happened with Homer, and I want to see what the other side looks like, of course. But I think they wrote this knowing that this could be the ending. I don't know that for sure, but it feels like that. And yeah, it's just it does feel like it comes out of nowhere. I agree with you, but that's kind of the point. The school shootings are not like something that like we can prepare for all day. We do all the drills, and then it's a random Tuesday where they decide to happen. That's the sad thing about this. It just feels out of line with what the rest of the show's tone was. It's like, oh, whoa, suddenly, like you said, like we have like assault rifles and like people coming in, and like whoa, where are we?
Yeah, part of the reason I think it feels dated is because I think it's trying to be very of its moment on purpose, because this is a point in the story where what the OA was saying before about totems feels applicable, which is like in a society where bad stuff happens, the way people respond to it is they make stuff to like make sense of that, to represent the things that they feel. So it's like you were saying, this very kind of impressionistic, like the dance is symbolic of all of the things that these kids are feeling as they're experiencing this thing. And whereas and we've talked about how the movements feel like this sort of like early human civilization form of performance. It's about like mimicking animals, and it's very like kind of there's like vocalizations and like these kind of sharp movements, and it's almost like a pre-language way of communicating. And at a time in human history where we might have made sense of things in that way, the thing that would have been bad that would happen to you could be something that to us we have a solution for, like you die of a disease, or you like break your leg and now you're dead because what are you going to do about it? Like there was so much more that we see as kind of normal or we understand that would have felt otherworldly and a kind of like threatening in a way that it's sort of like, I think the question that they were probably asking themselves when they were writing this episode is like, well, what is that in 2016? What is the thing that makes us feel that kind of fear and that feeling of like, I can't explain this. I can't explain why this is happening. I can't process my feelings. And in that way, this sort of like mass shooting or like active shooter scenario in a school fits the description. But I think there's something about that 10 years later that my way of relating to that is very different, because I think it's wrapped up with so much more frustration and resentment and hatred and like desire for systemic change and knowledge that like there are solutions. Like this isn't an act of God. This is a thing that we could legislate our way out of. And I think that's honestly my problem.
That's a great point.
It's treating this as like a part of the sort of ethereal stuff. Like this is as much a supernatural thing as Katoon, like this kind of faceless shooter guy. And it's just not like that. Like, there are ways to keep this from happening, but I don't know.
And they don't involve doing funny dances.
Right.
That gets to the heart of why it feels a little awkward or strange to us now, as we've realized, in especially the last couple of weeks, Jesus Christ, the state of our country, it's like this, we got here through like deliberate action, like the people doing things specifically, not just like evil just always seems to rise and like I don't know, and like we just gotta hold out hope and vote for the right people. Like we've just been so jaded and like let down by that ethos now over the last decade that it's like so hard to empathize with a story about like if you just hold on to the thing that you guys did together in community, that's all it takes. It's really hard to believe that, and the show doesn't, I think, do a good enough job of like one-to-oneing that to a real life experience. The movements are a little bit too sci-fi, and they aren't like tangibly in the show anything other than like collective action. That it doesn't hit for me right.
Yeah, and it's sort of like I don't know that I believe that this person who's coming in here to shoot people would be like, huh? What are they doing? And get like distracted. Like I don't even believe the sort of
agreed
most grounded, most like this is real life,
the not sci-fi version
of it. Yeah. But I do think the movements look really cool, and I think they're shot well. Like
the sequence is beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you have any stray notes on the episode though?
I was not satisfied with like, oh, she has books under her bed, and that proved, because it's like, all right, maybe she went to the library and got some books related to what she experienced. Like, this is not sufficient evidence to be like, oh my God, she made it all up. So that was a little lame.
I agree.
But I get what they were going for there.
They needed a single scene that shook their faith significantly. I think if they went so far as to be like, she has a pie chart or rather like a graph in her room that's like, here's how I tell the story. Act 1, the betrayal. Act 2, the kidnapping. It's like that's too much in the realm of like, oh, obviously it's fake. It needs to be ambiguous, but it's not ambiguous enough. It's kind of like, no, I think that that French misunderstood what he was looking at.
The only other thing that I'm thinking about is the OA describing moving to the other dimension as this like flow of water.
Yeah.
And the way that when they were in their cells, the water came to them flowing through this trough. And the like kind of parallels between the cells and the water being the way they like got the message, like the letter underneath to the other one. And there's 5 cells, and this was supposed to be 5 seasons, and like what's up with that? Like, whoa. That feels like they did that on purpose, but I don't know.
I forgot this was supposed to be 5 seasons. Damn, y'all are bold. Okay.
Yep.
Boy, I'm so scared of what season 2 is. I'm deeply unnerved.
Yeah. We'll find out.
Yes, we will eventually. Anyways, that's all I got. It's a really interesting. It's thought-provoking. I give them credit for that. It's very thought-provoking. It's fucking weird, though. I understand why this show has equal numbers of haters and lovers, pretty much. People who are like, this is the greatest show ever made, and people who think it was up its own ass. That's valid. Magellan, what are we doing next time on Chats, though?
Next time, we are, for the 2nd year in a row, having a discussion about the Academy Awards, the films that are up for Best Picture, and our episode will come out the morning of the Oscars ceremony. So you'll get to hear us talk about the movies of those that we've seen or that we're going to watch between this week and next week. And we had a lot of fun doing that last year, so we're going to do it again. And that'll be fun.
We're going to the movies next time on ChatzPod. The return of movie chats. I'm hosting an Oscar party. I'm trying to watch the movies. It's going to be great. Magellan, in other news, where can people find you online?
You can find me on another podcast that I do with my friend Justin called Super Smash Echoes, where we play video games related to the Super Smash Brothers franchise. Super Smash Echoes, check it out. You can also find me on Bluesky, not the Magellan.bsky.social, and on Ghost at not-that-magellan.ghost.io. Alan, what about you?
You can find me on Bluesky at Ibrahim. That's AIBRAHIM. You can also hear me on the aforementioned Creature Quorum, which is a Pokemon podcast covering things like Pokemon's 30th anniversary. The different releases in the trading card game and various merchandise from the Pokemon Company. It's a love letter to Pokemon, which is my favorite franchise of all time. And right now we're playing through the Kanto games, specifically Fire Red and Leaf Green, and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu / Eevee. It's really great. Listen to that on scanlinemedia.com. My friend 6 and I, and hey, Magellan's going to be on that soon. It's going to be really fun. Yes, that was confirmed. We locked it in. Since it's an even episode, do you mind doing the plugs on first, please?
I would love to. You can get in touch with the show in a few different ways. You can email us your questions, comments, concerns, suggestions at chatzpod.bsky.social. That's chatzpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the finale of season 1 of the OA. You can also follow us on Bluesky at ChatzPod. Every instance of ChatzPod is spelled ChatzPod. We're on YouTube, where you can see the video version of the show, Chat's Television Podcast on YouTube. You can see Alan doing a little wave, which is one of our 5 movements. Just like a hello, and then like one of these, and like a woo. Yeah, try to collect all 5. You can, wherever you find us, rate the show, review the show, share the show. And then if you want to send us some cash money, you can do that on Patreon, patreon.com/chatspod. For $1, $3, or $5 a month. $1 a month gets you on the Discord. $3 gets you twice monthly bonus content. This month, I think we're now in episodes being published in March. We're starting a new batch of listener suggested Patreon episodes. So you'll get to hear those over on the Patreon if you support at $3 a month and up. $5 patrons get thanked right here at the end of every episode. So thank you to Stefan, 6, Noel, Nick of the Brothers of Infinite War, MP, my mom, Marcus, Lee, Kyrie, Kelly, Justin, Jen, Felicia, Emrys, Emily, Arthur, and Amanda. Thank you, folks, for supporting the show. Thank you also to Camilla at Camillastrator for our podcast art. And now it's time, Alan, for our chatsums, our little recommendations of what people should snack on between now and next time. What are your chatsums for this week?
I have an experienced chatsum and I have a movie chatsum. My experienced chatsum is, if you're going to go to Miami, that's awesome. I really recommend staying in Little Havana. Downtown Miami gets a lot of hate for being like super plasticky, corporate, just like rich vacationers clubbing. That's fair. It's a city. It's a well-designed city. It's fairly small. Miami Beach gets the same criticism. It's a beach. It's nice. But Little Havana is a beautiful, especially in our world today, it's a beautiful place where Spanish is the majority spoken language. And Cuban immigrants and Mexican immigrants make you the best fucking food you've ever had in your goddamn life. And the best coffee you've ever drank in your damn life. You can't go anywhere without buying something beautiful and handcrafted. And the smells are good. And the food is good. And it's very walkable. So I'd really recommend, if you get a chance and you're out in the Miami area, I really had a lot of fun in Little Havana and would highly recommend going there. Just nice. Like wander, shop, get some food, get some coffee. And then on the plane ride back, because we had quite an adventure getting onto a plane back, I finally settled in. I was like, I just want to watch something and just lock in on something. And I watched Train Dreams because it was on Netflix. We're going to be talking about this movie next week in depth, but my brief chatsum recommendation is all of the Oscar movies are about sadness and loneliness in our current political moment. I think that what Train Dreams has to say about like male loneliness and grief is like some of the most interesting stuff of those nominees I've seen so far. It's so beautiful to look at. It's so well acted. Joel Edgerton is incredible in it. It's a little thin, but again, we'll talk about what I mean by that later. It's a good, it's entertaining. I think you'll have a good time and you'll get something out of it, most likely.
Cool. Great.
That's my chatsum. So what about you?
I think I was thinking about it, listening to you talking about the Creature Quorum, and I think I want to chat the Creature Quorum. I listened to the first episode of the Kanto Tourism Committee, and I, as a lover of Gen 1 of Pokemon, I really enjoyed hearing you and Six talk about it. I'm excited to follow you on that journey.
Thank you.
And I also want to, it is annoying that Nintendo is charging us $20 to play a ROM of a Game Boy Advance game on the Switch. But if you've never played Fire Red and or Leaf Green, they are some of the best Pokemon games ever.
Correct.
And they are worth $20. Even if the circumstances of us being charged $20 for them is really annoying, if we're just talking about like bang for your buck, $20 is well worth experiencing those games because they're very good and they're some of my faves in the franchise. So I'd recommend those as well.
I love it. I truly love them. That's the Gen 3, so Ruby Sapphire remakes of Gen 1, often considered the most straightforward and like cleanly done remakes of any game. The most emulated games of all time, which makes the fact that they're charging $20 much funnier. The most modded games of all time. These are like really important. This is an important package. So again, if you never tried it, I coach Chatzum that. Like that they're great, but it sucks that you shouldn't have to pay $20. That's that. There's no new features. You can move your Pokemon forward into Pokemon Home if you want. That's if it's something you care about. If you want a shiny farm on the GBA game and then move those guys onto Home or something, go for it. But I digress.
But yeah, that's my Chatzum.
Good stuff, Magellan. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Who pairs up this week? Thank you for being the weird girl to my to my Steve, because sometimes we make funny edits and make each other laugh. And thanks so much for listening to Chatz OA. Peace.
Bye bye.